Hey everybody, Steph here. So in this vlog, I want to talk about two things very quickly. Number one, I am shooting this, I guess about a week or two before the new MacBook Pro with the touch bar at the top goes on sale. I think it's going to be out next week or the week after, something like that. So that said, if you've seen the buzz on the web, generally speaking, it's a pretty thumbs down. People are bummed out by the price. They're bummed out by the fact that they took out all the ports, and generally they feel that somehow some of the internals are kind of wimpy, especially given the price. You can get a lot more computer. Let me rephrase that. You can get the same specs internally in many computers for a lot less than what Apple is charging. Now, this is nothing new, although it seems to be more than ever. Anyway, that being said, you see a widespread, at least at this point, negative reviews on the device. Generally speaking, lots of it. Even from die-hard Mac fans are saying, don't buy a brand new one, buy last year's model instead. You know, since you got all the ports in last year's model. You got your SD card slot, you got your USB 3, yada, yada, yada. So, I mention all that because I'm curious to see how people react a month or so after it's been released. I want to see, once people start using it, see how they react. So keep that in mind, because what I've seen in my existence is that people really don't like change. A lot of people are afraid of change, and there's this reflexive repulsion to anything too major most of the time. So I'm not saying that the complaints versus the Mac and the new MacBook Pros is not warranted. It's not unwarranted. I've expressed my concerns like, what? No ports? Come on. You know, I got a Mac Cinema display, and well, let me show you. I don't think I'll be able to plug it into the MacBook Pro. I know I won't. I'll have to get some sort of dongle. So you're looking at, you know, $50 for that. So anyway, whatever. And I remember I said in a previous video, because of software I use, I'm going to have to get a Mac. But you know what? Given what I saw, I'm not sure if I'm going to actually upgrade. I might just use the old Mac for the one key piece of software that I use, some database stuff. And then just use Windows for my video work, and that'll be done. Because I'm pretty happy with my Surface Pro 4. It's a really good computer. Anyway, let's close off this vlog about the creativity of companies. You see a pattern very often where you have a company that becomes successful when the founders are there. But then when the founders leave or take a back seat and they let in other people, the typical corporate suits take over, then you see the creativity of the company diminish quite a bit. Now, you saw it with Microsoft, for instance, when Bill Gates left and Ballmer took over. It was like in this 10-year rut, and they just came out with crap after crap after crap after crap. And that's because Steve Ballmer was a marketing guy, sales guy. He was not a creative person. He was not the technology person. Now we see Apple, since Steve Jobs has died, many Apple fans will say that they really haven't done anything since then. And who they put in charge, Steve Cook, who was a nuts and bolts process guy, not a creative guy, not a technologist, not an inventor type, not a Steve Jobs, you know. And as a result of that, you can see a similar situation that Microsoft went into. And so that's a problem. When you have conformists rise through a company, and that's an unfortunate situation. When you have a business, the creative types typically don't rise to the top unless the company goes out of its way to make these high positions available to the creative types. So we have the cooks, who are not they came from the side of Apple, where they were controlling to make sure that the boxes shipped on time. This is not exactly a good person to put in charge of a company that has to be innovative, right? Now, I'm not taking away from him. I'm sure he's really, really good at processes, Tim Cook. I'm sure he's really good at making sure the boxes arrive on time. But in terms of being creative, I got a feeling he's probably not too creative. Just a guess, based on what we've seen. On the other hand, if you look at Microsoft. Now, when I saw their presentation last year when they introduced the Surface Pro, Surface Pro 4, for instance, and other things, I saw that the people presenting were really weird people, strange, quirky people. And I say this in the best possible way, because in the strange, quirky people is where you get all the original ideas, is where you get the creativity. So when I saw that even the CEO is kind of a character, and I see the top product developers kind of characters, I said, they're going to come out with some neat stuff. And sure enough, you know, last year it was really cool what they've come out. This year, the Surface Studio, which is blowing people away, and they're just really doing some cool stuff. HoloLens, the augmented reality product, but they're really doing some cool stuff. Whereas Apple, after 3 years, they come up with an OLED touch bar at the top of the laptop. That's because if you watch the main guys at Apple now, they seem to all be, they're nice guys, but they don't necessarily seem to be very creative. They're not the creative types, you know? That's the impression I get. So unfortunately, you see that time and time again with companies. When they become big, the creative types don't make it to the top, because a lot of times the weird creative guys, they're not necessarily the best schmoozers, right? They're not the best inside of a corporate environment, unless the corporation creates an environment to make it so that these people can rise. So keep that in mind. That's pretty much my take on that. If you meet strange people, they're probably very creative. And if you want to be creative, my suggestion to you is to expose yourself to strange things. And I would read fantasy novels and read wacky stuff to open my mind up to different ideas and different possibilities. It's kind of like exercising your body. If you do the same exercise over and over again, it's not good for your body. So it's good to expose your body to different types of exercises. You know, so you might run, or you might, of course, I don't believe in running. Run one day, and then another time, you know, climb a tree. Another time, go biking, do some swimming, maybe do some martial arts. But changing it up is very good for your body, and changing up what you expose your mind to is also very good for your mind. So anyway, yeah, pay attention to see, as I commented at the beginning of this vlog, after a month or so that the laptop is out and people kind of get used to the new port structure and that top strip, we're going to see whether or not the negative press is still consistent. You know, Apple has responded already. They're reducing the price of their dongles because they're getting a lot of heat, right, from people saying, you know, come on, this is a pro laptop. Why don't we have pro features like an SD card slot and USB and all these? And they got all these devices right now that depend on these type of ports. So now these poor professionals are going to have to carry all these dongles and stuff. For me, it's not so much that. I use my Mac for some server-related stuff. I also do some video stuff, and I just park it on my desk, and I just plug my two displays into it. So the keyboard's another complaint about the Mac. I don't know. I've never tried it. And here people are saying, not so good. Anyway, I use a wireless keyboard anyway, so I don't really care. But you know, people have legitimate concerns about it. If they're running around and they got to carry all these dongles in their bag, they got to plug them in, and they're doing work in the field, that's a real pain. There's no question about that. Anyway, that's it. We'll talk in the next vlog. Ciao.